I'd love to chat with you more about it. I'll be excited to get a hold of the book and maybe have a read. The book is called Setting Goals Using the S.M.A.R.T Method. The author is Brian McAleer, and we've got him in the studio with us on the Coffee Chat radio program this morning. He's a writer, life coach and speaker, and of course the S.M.A.R.T Method is his first book. You can get that by jumping on to www.brianmcaleer.blogspot.com.au. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Pressure's off. I wanted to ask you, thank you for that, I wanted to ask you also in reference, if I can, is I see people, I've seen a number of people quite recently, and I know I tried it myself, and it, unfortunately for me it didn't work, but I do see a lot of people doing vision boards.
Yep.
Is that something that you would recommend as well?
I do. I do recommend that, but I don't recommend that's the only thing.
No.
Yeah.
It's just something I've seen a lot of people doing recently. It didn't work for me, maybe because I wasn't home enough to be, and my desk sort of, maybe, I don't know, I just was distracted and wasn't looking at it enough. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it is useful because a vision board is like it's a reminder of what you're going for, and
you're sort of taking the ideas out of the head, putting them in a visual, like in a in your face position to remind you.
Yeah, that's right.
Of the things that you are sort of maybe forgetful of. Maybe.
Well, it helps because that's how our mind works. When we want something, we see a picture in our mind, and if that picture is clear and unfuzzy, we can't see ourselves having that or moving towards that. Then, in most cases, we won't pull ourselves towards that.
Do you think that do you think that emotion sort of clouds us or hazes things over for us at times? Because I know that a lot of us react on emotion, and you don't sort of think about that, And do you think that sort of stops us sometimes from setting the goals, or achieving the goals, I should say?
It can, absolutely, and the main emotion or feeling being fear. Is what will stop us from taking action.
Reaching the goal.
Yeah, or fear that it won't work, or fear that we'll look stupid in front of others, or fear that it's not right, or a fear that it might separate me from my friends or family. Like, all just fears, all just perceived fears, really. In the book, I have a part of the book called Setting Goal that's stated and shared. So in the part stated, I talk about fear, and there's that classic saying, feel the fear and do it anyway, because once you've pushed yourself through and you've overcome it, in most cases what we fear or imagine is holding us back is not really that strong after all. It's just more of sort of a perceived fear, a perceived illusion. So even if it scares you, I say if it scares you, that's the thing you should be doing the most.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You've got to push yourself through and then step outside your comfort zone. And for example, like once I published this book, I thought, I really want this book to go worldwide. I'm going to email some people about it. So I tracked down the email lists for some of the biggest CEOs in the world, including Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The CEO of all these massive companies like Allianz Financial Group, McDonald's, all these sort of groups. I just emailed them and say, hey, I've written this book for your consideration. That was scary.
Check it out.
Yeah. I haven't got replies yet, but that was something that I was scared to do.
But you've done it, though. It's like, I know I've sort of said to people in reference to music, well, have you tried approaching, this particular record label or radio station, or you'd like to you'd love to perform with this particular artist that's your idol. How about you shoot them a message on Twitter or Facebook? Or
you've got nothing to lose.
There is nothing to lose, is there? It's like
just go for the jugular. And
exactly.
A lot of these people who are successful in life started out just like you. They started off with a dream and an idea, with a combination of hard work and luck and knowing the right people. They've made it. And in most cases, you'll find that people in that position want to help others as well, because they feel very sort of privileged and honoured to have accumulated that kind of success. And you'll find as they get older, these successful people, they start to mentor new young people.
Oh, that's my stomach. Could you hear that? That's terrible. You didn't hear that?
No, I didn't.
I was going to say, that's my stomach grumbling. Must be time for some of that banana and passion fruit cake that Pauline brought in this morning.
Sounds good.
No, it does, doesn't it? Now, of course, you can check out all things Brian McAleer by checking out his website, which is www.brianmcaleer. Now, I'll spell that for you. It's McAleer. S.M.A.R.blogspot.com.au. As I said, he's an author, a life coach, and he's got a fantastic book out now as well, which is all based on the smartest method.
That's right.
And, of course, goal setting. Now, there was one other question I was going to ask you. We talked about, or you talk about in the book, and as part of the smartest method, energy.
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell the folks at home as to if you feel like you're lacking in the energy, what can you tell them, I guess, or where can you point them as far as the best place or the best method to maybe find that energy if you feel like you're lacking it?
Yep. So the thing with energy is, like I said before, it's the fuel of your goal, and you don't just put one lot of fuel in your car and expect it to take you 1,000 kilometres.
Well, it doesn't last.
No.
doesn't last that long.
You've got to keep refueling the car. So in the same sense, you've got to keep refueling your goal. So in order to energize it, there's a few ways you can go about it. The vision board is a great way, like we talked about. Also, you've got to think about what are your reasons why you want this goal to happen. And those are the things that you're going to fall back on when you're struggling or losing a bit of focus. It's like, oh, this is why I'm working on this. Great way to do that is to just write down on a piece of paper up to 50 times, I want to achieve this goal because, and come up with all your different reasons why. Another way is to think about the language you're using, so your self-talk. And a lot of the time we focus on what we don't want or what we can't do or what we shouldn't do. Instead of what we can do and what we will do. So just changing those words around. For example, a lot of us will say, I really don't want to get sick. I really don't want to get sick. I just really don't want to get sick. And then we end up getting sick.
Whereas you should be saying, I won't get sick.
Or even better, I must remain healthy. So
there
changing
you go.
your words.
And it goes... It takes the negative connotation out of it, and it is just extremely. It's just totally positive.
That's
then,
right,
isn't it?
And it's a more empowering just because you've changed two words.
Thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. So thinking about what your reasons are, watching your language, and there's also an exercise in the book that will really, really energize your goal. And the book will tell you to go to a place where you can be quiet and alone because you're going to make a lot of noise. You're actually going to read out your goal statement and increase the energy and the tone and the passion and everything that you put into it. So by the end, you're listening to some kind of really, empowering song, and almost yelling it out is going to add all this energy and make you feel fantastic. And then the more you do that, it actually starts to condition your brain that, my goal is exciting, my goal is energy, like this, it just fills it up with energy. So it's kind of those three aspects, thinking about your why do you want to do it, the language and the talk you have around your goal, and also using your body, your physiology to actually immerse yourself in your goal and make it this kind of, unstoppable force. And, by just implementing these things, you'll notice a big difference.
I feel a tad empowered already this morning. Now, of course, we've had the pleasure of having in the studio on the Coffee Chat Radio program this morning, Brian McAleer. And, of course, as I said, you can jump onto the website, which is www.brianmcaleer.blogspot.com.au. Can people purchase the book through the website?
There's a link.
A link there?
There's a link. Yep. So if they go to the section called products,
there you go.
They'll see there the link to buy the book. It's available on a few different websites.
I see there's one of the links is parents of teens. You can't possibly have teenagers, surely.
No. I've got an 11-month-old, but teens yet.
Okay, so when that 11-month-old becomes a teen, come back and talk to us then.
Yeah, no worries. We'll schedule
we can compare some notes. I haven't had kids of my own, but I've had some in a couple of other relationships, and the teen years are interesting. Boy or girl?
She's a girl.
My God, geez. Yeah. Have you got some exciting times to come?
Oh, yes.
Exactly. Now, I wanted to, really quickly before we do go, and thank you for coming in and chatting with us today and hanging about as well, is we did play at the beginning of the show too, Eye of the Tiger. Now, you said that it was mentioned in the book.
It is.
Why and how?
Why and how? Well... It's a great song. Coincidentally, that song was #1 the week that I was born, in October 1982.
Oh, so, God, that was a year I left high school, don't you? My goodness, you make an old man feel older. Thank you.
No worries. It's just, that song just has such a great association to it. I mean, it's from the Rocky movies, in all the montages, and I've attended lots of events and seminars where that song comes on. And I listen to that when I'm reading out my goal statement via that exercise I just mentioned. So by the end, when I'm like yelling it, like my goal is, and that song's playing in the background, like afterwards,
it's like the Rocky theme, isn't it?
I feel like Rocky. You know,
yeah.
I'm punching
just
my
like
arms
that.
and
That's
ready
how
to
I
go
relate
run a
that song.
marathon.
First thing I thought of when I was thinking about that was I was thinking it is just like it's anthemic. Like the Rocky tune, you know, and it's just, and I can understand actually now why you have chosen it, and considering it might have been the number one track the year you were born, but it was probably number one song that I was listening to in year 11 in high school. Yeah, banging the head to, you know, in the locker rooms.
Hitting the punching bag, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, believe me.
The lyrics are just very powerful.
It was an amazing song of its time, and it's a wonderful song that you've chosen. I think very, very appropriate indeed. Now, really quickly, because I generally ask most of my guests this question before we go, obviously, is what was the first... Tell me what the first... in your day, you probably didn't buy vinyl for the first time with your own money. So what was the first cassette or CD that you bought with your own money? You have to be honest as well.
Oh, okay.
Mine was Abergold, so...
I remember vinyl. I never bought one. The first CD I bought was actually a compilation of songs from The Simpsons.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Get out of town.
Yep, grew up on The Simpsons. I'm a Simpsons kid through and through. So the first CD I bought was, I think it was season 3 or 4, all the songs they'd had on the show.
That's crazy.
Put onto a CD, and I had that for a good 10 years or so.
Didn't even know it existed.
Oh, yeah, there's heaps of albums out now, but that was the first one. Songs in the Key of Springfield, it was called, or something like that.
I'm going to have to check that out, because I know I lived in the US during 1990, and they were just... So I was lucky enough, because The Simpsons wasn't out in Australia then.
No.
And they were just going into... the beginning of... I sort of saw most of season 1 live, and then they were going into season 2 just before I came home. And then not long after I got home, The Simpsons came out here. But I'd been telling everybody over the phone, you know, like, you got to check... When it comes out, you're going to love this. It's awesome. Yeah. So
absolutely.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, there you have it. Your goal for 2014, personal goal. Got to ask you that.
Yes, well...
It's not like a wish that you can share.
More of a goal, yeah. Well, the first one I was to become a published author, so I actually used my own method to help me finish the book.
Tick.
Done. The next goal is actually to buy our next house. My wife and I are looking at buying our second home, and we've got quite a specific list of what we want in this house. And we've talked about that, and we've got a really clear idea of what it is. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have that secured, and we'll move in early next year. So that's the next big goal for me.
Wonderful. And in the meantime, you've had a young child as well, which is pretty awesome.
She's about to turn 1, so it's a fun time.
That's a big birthday.
It is, yeah. Because we've got to be about 50 kids there apparently. So yeah, I'm going to have to get some good sleep.
Sweet. You're going to be on cupcake duty.
I will be, yeah.
If you haven't been told, well, there you go. You're getting told now.
Yeah.
Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show this morning. Now, I was thinking we might go into some community service announcements and come back with, we might pick an 80s track, and then, of course, close the show with that wonderful song that Lee closes the program with by Cat Beams, which is called Gratitude. Brian McAleer, pleasure to have you on the program this morning. Folks, get out and purchase the book, and of course check out Brian's website, which is www.brianmcaleer.blogspot.com.au.
Thanks, Forrister. It's been an absolute privilege. Thank you.
Cheers, matey. Much obliged. It was very informative, and I got something out of that this morning, so thank you. I've learned something today.
You're welcome.